Thank you so much, you guys. You're going to get grilling now, I can feel it. Questions? Who has got a question?
I'll always ask the first question.
They all want to glass of wine too. Can you say who you are and where you're from?
I'm Greg Chance, I'm the director of the Children's Media Foundation and the editorial director of the Children's Media Conference. For my sins. Lydia, you're now delivering, you're going to be delivering Bite Size in Roblox.
Mm-hmm.
Is thought given to the delivery of public service in the new platforms? Because I did see the word promotion.
Mm-hmm.
Is it about promotion? Is it about just getting people back to the iPlayer? Sorry to use the word just there, but you know my obsessions.
So,
or is it about finding new ways of delivering public service in new places?
I'd say it's a mix of both. I think what we're doing on Bite Size with the experience, we're turning one of our existing games into a Roblox version. So it's very focused on you making sure you get a learning outcome from the learning that you have on platform, but it is supported by a lot of additional material on Bite Size. So we want it to be an enriching learning experience on the platform, but ultimately drive back more users to use Bite Size where they can get additional study materials around that topic, and they can hopefully start to use Bite Size a bit more as a learning platform as they start to go through their school. So I think in everything that we do, we want to make sure that we are delivering public service value, but also that we are getting users back to BBC estate. So that's iPlayer and it's Bite Size and Newsround as well.
I'm John, and I'm from Jolly Wise. Hello, YouTube. I had a question that I think some other people in the room would like to know the answer to. You might not be able to, but there's a lot of chatter about sort of secret sources and algorithms and whatnot on YouTube. I was at a presentation just before Christmas, a slightly older demographic, where they were talking about shorts is the place you need to use for reach. And then you hear people saying, well, 8-minute videos are good, but actually if you stitch together loads of videos into a long form piece of content, that's really good. So could you sort of speak to, if you were going to be launching a YouTube channel for your own IP, where you'd start, what would be the reach strategy, the types of content, the lengths of it, that kind of thing? Because I think a lot of people still, it depends who you talk to, people have got different answers for you.
Nice simple question then. So a few high level thoughts. I do think, without it being a cop out, that all of the different formats and approaches are helpful for different reasons. So short is helpful for discoverability because it's a different way that people are consuming that content via the shorts feed, and it can help to be the first exposure to a particular IP. I don't think that we've got a very strong. I don't know that the kind of the revenue generation on shorts in the short term is going to be significant. So I think it should be seen as a discoverability piece. I will say on shorts that there is a relative lack of high quality shorts because, as you can imagine, it's quite tricky to create a high quality short touching on some of those high quality principles I mentioned versus in a longer form video. So actually, if you are quite intentional about your shorts and are trying to hit some of those high quality principles, you can stand out from the other shorts that are all over the platform. So there is no shortage necessarily of a made for kids shorts, but high quality is useful. 8 minutes plus is helpful tactically because you can get mid-roll ads in to your content. So I think that as a minimum is something to consider. It doesn't always work for all types of content, but there are ways and means of trying to top and tail content to get it up to the 8 minute. And then what we are finding is where you stitch lots of different episodes together or start running live streams, there is a lot more interest in watching that, especially on the living room experience. And so there is greater revenue and monetization opportunities sometimes on those longer videos. So I would try to think about how you can stitch things together. The one thing to bear in mind when you're stitching together is there still a common thread? Because sometimes your video will fall down on the quality rating if actually it's just lots of random clips stitched together and there isn't an obvious thread or link or segue from one to the other, because that is not ultimately seen as a good experience or a high quality experience for the viewer in our eyes. So those are a few things to think about. The other thing I've mentioned in my presentation is there's a lot of content for preschool kids. Not to say that there shouldn't be more, there's always scope for doing new and different things, but those slightly older kids trying to crack what they are interested in beyond being on Roblox the whole time, I suppose, which is part of the challenge. But for those older kids, what is it that they might be interested in that is tailored to them, as opposed to them, as I said, co-viewing with parents, some of the kind of other content from non-kid focused creators. So those are a few thoughts for what it's worth about kind of maybe how to go about things.
Thanks.
Fantastic.
I was curious as to what the panel as a whole might think, because we're all talking about creative content. Some of the things we're hearing about is the different platforms and the user-generated content, and how you feel pros and cons about effectively the loss of control of the intellectual property that you may have created, because it could be used in a great way, but it might not be. I just wondered what you think about the pros and cons and how you look at your IP.
And I guess we're in a good position where we don't really create our own IP. So we do in the UGC side of things, as in the actual clothing. Usually we're commissioned by A and others to actually produce something with their IP, and they tend to they shoulder that burden of all of the legal side of it. Obviously there are questions about who can steal things. Roblox is pretty secure. You can't replicate IP, for example. You can't replicate a game because you don't have access to that code. So there's a lot of different checks and balances and the hygiene factors that the robots have taken into consideration there. So there shouldn't be, and we have had that from quite a few companies, is what if someone steals the game? Well, they can't, because robots will look after that, those checks and balances. So really, in terms of things that we produce, we're cool with it. If people start copying things, there's certainly, within the clothing side, there are questions about whether if you use someone else's, say, jacket in your own game, because you actually bought it off someone, you can then use it in your own game, use it on videos, etc. I think it's always polite to just check with the person that's actually created that style. And we did have one of those situations in it, one for the Catholic Church, but it didn't go down that well. So that would be our point of view. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to add, when you mentioned about Peppa Pig being used in Roblox, and lots of it about killing pigs. And I guess there's a point at which a brand might take offence at that, but I guess the Wild West it is right now means that it's better that people are mentioning your brand than fighting it, eradicating it.
Yes, there was a situation with Peppa Pig that you were not able to search for Peppa Pig within Roblox at one point. They've relaxed that. I think there is a lot of dodgy content around Peppa and others. I think that's absolutely up to the IP owner, but the question is, and I think Disney have taken this point of view, is they're basically going to be suing a 14-year-old. And I don't know where you get with that.
Some of them sound minted, so fine.
Yeah, it's true.
Why can't you sue the platform that lets it on their channel, on their platform?
I would say that they wouldn't consider themselves as the publisher of it.
Well, I met with the head of policy at Roblox on Thursday night, and got into a little bit of a heated debate with him about, they are very much a user-generated content platform. So anything that's made on their platform, they're hands off. Nothing to do with us, nothing to do with me, boss. It's what everyone else has made. And I made the point that Apple eventually had to put some safeguards, some guidelines, some rules, some quality standards in to ensure that you put what goes on the Roblox platform is kind of fit for purpose. But to Ian's point, most people who are making apps aren't 10, 11, 12, 14. They're big businesses, but yeah, I think at some point they are going to be dragged, kicking and screaming, to heel.
They did say at the last Roblox Developer Conference they're going to put more. They're going to allow for more takedown requests. because they're aware that it could be a problem. I just think there hasn't been much concern from a lot of people who are quite happy to see it as fan out right now, but obviously killing things is probably not ideal.
Yeah, I think that would be a problem for us. I can see if someone put a game up where it was kind of things killing each other, because it's a really trusted background for us and for the BBC. So I think that would be a problem for both us and them, actually.
Could I just make a sort of a small public information announcement? Because I just heard you as the host. I'm to be a tech and IP lawyer who is an author on how you take stuff down, trademark infringement, copyright infringement, and wrote some of the Online Safety Act. All of these things mean that the observation about the platform, traditionally, I've been involved in cases where what we all call Twitter and others have said, I'm a platform. And it's not down to me, it's we use generated content. It's just a bit more convoluted than that. And for those that are concerned about their IP, there are things, but fundamentally, the era of platforms being able to stand back is ending rather rapidly.
Well, thank you so much, everybody. We are only 4 minutes late, which is just a miracle. I'm amazed. Thank you so much. I hope you found this useful. We got some really big, scary numbers and some really good views from everybody. So, a big thank you to the panel.